In a world where Africans have lost their roots, it has become of vital importance to document our ways. In an effort to reverse the brainwashing of the past, where we were made to believe our ways are demonic, we are pressed to create dignified and respectful platforms to unpack our spiritual ways. Moya light, Moya bright. Welcome to another episode of Moya Political Series. As you know, we like to bring our elders in to come and explain to us what is going on. We get our information from white capital monopolies, so it is skewed information. So it's always very important for us to actually dig deeper and go to the people, especially the people that the media is reporting negatively on. It usually turns out that those are our heroes. So today I've got Abuti Luther Lebelo, and I say Abuti because you look so young, but I know it's Ndate. I know you guys are part of this generation that knows how to look after themselves. So thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks for inviting me.
Because Moya is a spiritual platform, a lot of the things that we do here, it's driven by the energy and Moya Westies way, And we were so lucky to be privileged enough to access your Moyas. And I think what we want to extract from you is what's going on at Sars, what's the rogue unit. Then you also were at the public protector during Advocate Nkwebane's time. And that is so the information we get there is so disjointed and we know that the white people control the narrative. So it's nice for you guys to actually come here. So do you mind if we start there perhaps on your political journey, how you got into the field you're in and what you've encountered? Just build it up nicely for us.
It's a long story actually. Obviously invited me because I've written a book.
And we'll definitely get to the book, definitely. Yes.
And actually it was when I was studying writing the book that I realized what I thought was a traumatic life, how exciting it was. And I got to feel that, everybody must write a book because life is a story. We're busy telling a story. It's a movie. We both the writer of the movie, the producer and the director. We are also the name of the movie. We are also the main character. So that's nice. But when I finished my matric, my father promised me heaven and earth. This is in the book. He promised me heaven and earth, and then I wanted to go to university. I couldn't go to university, so I had to work as a petrol attendant for a couple of years, put money for myself, go to school. And the only money I had was for my tuition. And for me to survive university, I have to pass with distinction. Because as we pass with distinction, they used to give us every 6 months. That's how I survived. And I get into university. And of course, it became natural that you become political. I think political is part of your reaction to your own struggle, perceived or real. Because remember, we are nothing but the product of our own perception of who we think we are and who we think the world is. And we react to that. So if you are raised through an abuse, when your abuser comes, there is a way that you defend yourself, and that grows into you. Then you start to react like that every time you perceive a threat of an abuse. So the issue about Africans fighting is part of that. That's why they never fought before the Western came here. They started fighting after they came here because they start to be abused and they have to react to that abuse. So I happen to be part of that. I grew up in a very, very poor family, as you can imagine. So my reaction was like that. So I finished my university. Then I worked for Telkom. The first thing, I remember I joined Telkom in 4 days, actually 3 days. Okay, at school obviously I was in the leadership of SASCO and SRC. I get to Telkom, and I told myself, I'm not going to fight. Because after every time, like at school, when I fought for students, black people, and I say it in my book, I get tired of this thing. And when I get into the new gen, I said, I'm not going to fight. But same thing, Telkom, I get to Telkom. In 4 days, I was looking for a union office. Because I saw some white women talking to some 3 black women very badly. And it got into me, and I'm looking for an office. In a 2 weeks time, I was a shop steward. And then the fight starts. And that time, you had people who come. I had this guy who comes to me and said, So what they do is that we joined Telkom, we were 9. They make everybody a supervisor except me, just to punish me. And I'll talk to you about the cheeky black thing. I wrote something to News 24 when I was lodging a complaint with them about the cheeky black. So they punished me. And then one day I complained, and this manager came and said, look, we are willing to give you a manager position, but you must stop this nonsense. And remember that time when you get that manager position, a supervisor manager position, you get a car allowance. And then all these 8 people have got cars. I call myself a leader, I don't have a car, and I'm sitting between a car, and but I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I leave, and then after Telkom, and that's how I got to Sars. After Telkom, there was a route there at Sars, at Telkom. Almost, I'm saying this in the book, because one of the things I realized I write a book is that my story is very predictable. It behaves in the same manner.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I was a petrol attendant, the guy was owning here in Foy's, there's a place called Foy's Gardens.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a little BP garage there. I worked there when I was 18. That's where I put my money. And the guy who was there, we once had a huge fight, physical fight, because he treated me badly, fired me, and then we had a physical fight. From there, he started respecting me. And he made me this and he made me that.
Oh, you didn't lose your job?
No.
After the physical fight?
No. It's a funny story. You'll hear it in my book. I come late, and this guy was screaming at me as I was coming in front of everybody. I was finished. And that was not the only time he was embarrassing me. This guy, he'll come to the garage when he's not busy. He put me in a bakkie. I go to his house to clean, trees. And he's in front with a dog. I'm sitting at the back with a uniform of BP. I'm going to Bryanston, which is where he lives. By the robots, I just know this is embarrassing. I can't look around. And I know he's wrong because I'm not supposed to do this work. I'm not hired for that work. But I don't know any law that prohibits that. So, but injustice, you don't have to be told about injustice. You feel it.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew he's wrong, but I had no option. So we go. So he treated me very badly. So this other time I was late. And I remember walking in and I knew today is mess. Then he screamed at me, this guy. Said to me, bring my uniform. So I walked to his office, almost like this. I don't know what happened. I was on top of this guy. I'm 18 years. This other guy with a supervisor come there to get the oil, and he find me on top of this guy. And he separated me. And I remember saying to this guy, remember, I know your house and your children. If they're going to be living in the next week, you'll be like, but I didn't know what I was talking about. So I left. Later, I got a call from this guy. He says, no, that guy wants to speak to you. He's apologizing. But you're thinking, because at that time I resigned to the fact that the police will come and arrest me. But a long story short, I went back, the guy apologized. From there, then I became this big guy. Now I became promoted as a cashier, and then I became a manager. But the story I wanted to come to was, there comes a new guy. The new guy hated me so much, and then that pushed me out. But let me tell you, so they pushed me out. I've been there for 2 years. I haven't saved enough. When I started, I was earning 122 rand per week. And they pushed me out. I was out. And being out, that's how I got to university, because I had no place to go now. To go, I wanted to go. But anyway. So when I got to Sars, same thing happened. Having a good life. Some guy joined Sars, Papimo Latsani. He started fighting with Opa Makashula, who is my boss. Opa left. Opa joined Sars. And then I got recruited into Sars. So I came from Sars through Opa and got to Sars. Sars, beautiful place. Coming from Telkom to Sars was like, moving from hell to heaven. It was a beautiful place, great people, great spirit, great people. I don't want to lie. And of course, the problem started later on. But now you realize that it was an important transformational journey. It's a resurrection that has to happen for you to be somewhere. But at that time, it's a painful process. And And you want to know about the rogue units?
Yeah, that's because the thing is that we see that in the papers. We don't understand. We don't know why
the
Pravin
papers are
Gordon
misleading.
is
No,
not
they are
held
misleading
accountable.
you. I've written a 125-page affidavit under oath about the rogue units. And I submitted it to Judge Nugent when I was appearing there. You must read his judgment. He says, his report, this is a Judicial Commission of Inquiry. In his report, he says, I do not agree with Mr. Lebelo's affidavit, therefore I'm not going to publish it as part of my report. There's a Judicial Commission of Inquiry there.
What?
And you guys from the media didn't say, why would a judge want to hide an affidavit?
What?
Yes, you can read his report. It's there in big, bold words. None of these journalists of these main newspapers wanted to call me and say, what is happening? None. Because they knew what was in that affidavit, and what was in that affidavit was not supposed to be exposed. So they know they have it. I have it. I know Newsweek tried to run the story, but they were suppressed and all that. But you know the story of the rogue unit, and I'll touch on it, then we'll go on, because it's a very emotional state.
Okay.
And it's not supposed to be emotional for me because it was such an important process. You know, I can't be so grateful that I went through what I went through, because it transformed me. And in short, this is what happens, right? And I'm giving you in short. The guy, and it's in my book, the one that I'm talking about. So I speak a lot about rogue units, a little bit. So there is a guy called Johan Lochenberg. When I joined Sars, I was told that there is a unit here that goes through people's ceiling. I was told by my boss, George Ngadimeng. So when I joined, there was this sense, when people whisper about some guys who follow you, blah, 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 but there were no facts, but you joined there. Everybody, I can tell you, probably in head office, everybody knew about this rumor. And I'm talking about 2006 when I joined them. And then we touch and go. Then this guy called Johan Lochenberg was dating a woman called Walters. I forgot the name, but it's in my book. It's my affidavit detailed. And they had a fight. They had a fight because this one was dating other women here, and this one got upset. I know he's going to get upset, John, but I don't take him seriously. But he can't even get upset. It's public knowledge, by the way. And then she then calls journalists to expose the rogue unit that this guy was running. This guy was the head of the rogue unit. That's how the story got blown out. The story was not blown out by anyone. In fact, by that time, Tom One was not even there. No one. It was a girlfriend of this chap who got very upset with this guy. He called a journalist and he said, this guy is running a rogue unit, here is evidence. And there was a battle between City Press and Sunday Times at the time. At least at the time they were independent, not today. The Sunday Times was pushing the story with Pete and the other guy, with the lady that got pushed out, the colored lady was the editor, and then City Press was defending. That's how it goes. And what then happened was, Ivan Pillay at the time was acting commissioner. And he was very lucky because he didn't even have standard 8, but he was acting commissioner. He was called the deputy commissioner at the time. He then got pressure, including from me, because at the time I was the head of labor relations. The unions are putting pressure, saying, here are the allegations. With black people, you cut their heads on the basic allegation. Yeah, serious allegation, you're not doing anything. Ivan gets under pressure. He appoints Judge Skakani, Advocate Skakani SC, to investigate the allegation of the rogue unit against Johan Lochenberg from the girlfriend. Okay, they started with the other one, but I'll deal with the big one, because they started with the little one, blah, blah. Skakani comes with this report that said there was a rogue unit with evidence, a file like this. And by the way, I used to say this since when I was a spokesperson, but nobody listened. It is today black people are awake that what used to be, what we are told are angels, they might somehow have horns. And I'm happy that's where they are, because our people can disappoint you. So I'm just happy when I go through social media and I see people question. I said, we're getting some. So we come out. So this guy comes with the report that Very hectic report. Hectic. So the funny thing with the report, it says, Ivan Pillay ran this rogue unit. Ivan Pillay is the real head of rogue unit. Johan Lochenberg is rogue unit. This other guy called Scully is the rogue unit. Blah, blah, rogue unit did this, did that. They followed people with their houses. They, blah, blah. You must read that report, it will shock you. It must be public knowledge. It's public knowledge because it was made public at some point. Then what happens is that then Tom Moya joins SARS. During that investigation, before the report is on, so it's joins SARS. He gets into SARS. 3 weeks down the line, the report hands on his desk from Skagani with that report. What does that report say? It says Johan Lochenberg ran the rogue unit. This one, Dr. Ivan Pillay, a guy called Pete Richard ran the rogue unit. They know about the rogue unit, blah, blah, blah. The whole pressure. Sunday Times runs a story every day, digging, giving evidence every day. City Press is defending. The pressure mounts, the pressure mounts, the pressure mounts. The union, everybody put pressure. I'm the head of labor relations, by the way. And then they came to the conclusion that they suspend the three. You know the story in the Bible, I talk about it in my book about eating the forbidden fruit and hell broke loose. That's what happened. That suspension, hell broke loose. Moya, who at the time of joining was said to be the first commissioner with the masters in economics, blah, blah, turned like that. Became enemy number one.
Yes.
Because remember, it was implicated Pravin Goran. In my affidavit that Nugent refused to, I implicate Pravin. And you know, people who know, they know how much he hates me because of that. So that's how the whole Sars thing, all you're seeing was a movie coming from that incident. And I'll leave it there because then you can read from there. I don't have to tell you a lot of stories, but you can read from there and connect the dots. But what I'm telling you is fact. Known fact. It's in my affidavit, it's everywhere. So the rogue unit was not, it was a girlfriend of this chap calling the newspaper. Ivan Pillay was the acting commissioner, instituted the investigation, not some other guy. The report came, we suspended the three, hell broke loose. And then they worked on the vulnerability of our people because our people are very vulnerable.
Yes.
Very vulnerable.
When you say hell breaks loose, where is hell breaking loose from?
From remember, and you know, and I'm telling you, I know you know because I follow you. Remember, so let me summarize it. Hell broke loose, they send their dogs of war.
Yes, because we want the house, because we want to know where the hell it's coming from.
All these newspapers
that
you see, they send the hell. There was a lady called, I forgot her name. She was dedicated to us. The lady, I'll remember her very well. Yeah, some white lady, young, not young, but yeah. She was dedicated to us, just to every day sit there. Let me tell you what will shock you one day. The transformation of the IT transformation of SARS, which is given to Pravin, was not Pravin's work. It was Opa Makashula's work. I saw somebody tweeting is correct. Opa is the one who ran that the e-filing the way it is with some guy called Barry Hall. That's Opa's work. Tom came and did this other good thing. But no. Black people can't get credit. Because, you see, and I wanted to write a book, but I got trapped in this one. I wanted to write a book called The Soul for for SARS, because there are certain credits that can be given to black people because it's going to unmask the colonial mentality that black people who are competent. They can't be competent. There must be a continuation that says everything they touch collapse and. So when the real story of SARS is written, one day when it is written, people are going to be shocked. Today, nobody knows that under Moya, he collected all the targets. All of them. They same newspaper used to report when you collect targets to say we collected. Today they are saying, no, that guy destroyed. Ask them. What did he destroy? I mean, I was very disappointed. I mean, I will have lost respect now, but I used to think President Mbeki is very intelligent, but when he made a comment that people destroyed SARS, I was shocked. I thought he would make basic research would have told him that you can't make that comment. I never thought you could be swayed by
Abelung.
No, I never thought so. But well,
How could
as
you
you
never
grow,
thought?
you realize that people you thought are heroes are not necessarily heroes.
So
And I know that I'm gonna, so that's the story about the rock. I go a little bit deeper in my book, touching a number of things. But until you understand where it starts,
yes,
then you can connect the dots going further.
because I remember the first time that we reached taxes when it reached $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Ne? Then there was a big hype around Tom Moyane and him
Yeah.
collecting the taxes. But very soon after that, that's when it started going haywire.
Yes.
And
You touch the wrong people.
yes, we couldn't
But
have.
let me give you a
Yes.
funny story. The rogue unit story was not even started there. The rogue unit story was started by a guy called Michael Pierre. So Michael Pierre was part of the rogue unit team. Mike Pierre. So what the rogue unit used to do, that's what they're saying they're doing. They used to work with the law enforcement agency then to infiltrate, blah, blah, blah. So this guy, and you must look for him and interview him. I think those are the people you must talk to them. And I don't know because they also destroyed him, that guy. Eh? Yo. So they send him to go and infiltrate the rhino poaching thing. And apparently that's how they work. So you're working with this police, they say to go there and you infiltrate.
Yeah.
And this time is a trap. So he goes there, he infiltrates this thing. He gets a roadblock. They stop them, they arrest with these people that is infiltrated. So he knows that after 2 years I'll be out of jail. How? 1 day passes, 2 days passes. I was in a meeting, Johan Lochenberg come and say, no, there's one of our guys who was caught with rhino poaching. We need to suspend him. He's in prison in, I think, Mudimole. We don't know anything. We're HR people. We don't know the rogue unit. We write a letter. So the guy is waiting to be released as normal. Then he gets a letter that says you are fired because you're in jail. The guy jumped. He got fired. Got fired by us. George Ngadime was my boss who died very mysteriously, by the way. Which I'll write a book about him one day. But these people will kill me. So it gets to that, and then, okay, fine. The guy then goes and writes a dossier about the rogue unit. That's the first guy who exposed the rogue unit. In 2009, if I'm not mistaken. He gave it to the commander-in-chief of the EFF, Julius Malema. Now he was the president of the Youth League. He goes on. I remember it appeared on City Press. Supporting this guy. This guy went to Julius and told Julius, and Julius went out. The whole machinery went out to defend this, and they killed it. They said, no, that guy is a crook, and blah, blah. They killed it. I mean, these guys will swallow you. They'll squash you like that with their machine. Because what they do, these guys, these journalists, there is a group of them, hundreds of them.
Yeah.
When the story comes, they say there is a story about Luther Lebelo. They attack you. You see attacks coming everywhere, right? Coordinated.
Yeah.
And they know when it's coordinated like that, when you open your,
yeah,
you see that,
Yeah.
They squash that poor guy. Sort him out. But, Moya being Moya, then it comes again, the rogue unit. Now, the story I was telling you was the second resurrection of the rogue unit. So they know. I watched Praveen the other time at meeting on TV that the rogue unit existed when Dalimpof was putting him.
But they had said it didn't exist.
No, then later on he said it existed. Then he said it's illegal. In my affidavit to Nugent, I've put evidence. My affidavit was 370 pages of evidence of the crimes of that thing. When the report came out of Skakani, the way that report was wanted, I was the only one who had the report with Tom. My house was broken into. There was a time I had 6 bodyguards. My house was broken into. I was driven by 6 bodyguards. My wife used to have 2 bodyguards. My children used to have 2 bodyguards. I used to have 2 bodyguards. That's how bad it got. My life changed like that. Right? And yeah, and then they put their machinery now, destroying all of us. Destroying all of us.
This is all because you exposed the white people in the rogue unit. Is this what you're saying?
Yeah. And the funny thing with the rogue unit is that the people who were running it were the apartheid spies. Johan Lochenberg was an apartheid spy. He admitted. Scully and them, they work there. See?
The reason I was saying that we want to know the source
and
of...
you brought me here. I didn't want to get here, but I'm here. But I guess you got the whole story now. You can connect the dots going forward.
Yes, it's because the thing is that we are clueless, and it's important for you guys to have platforms like this to actually tell us what's going on. Because we don't even know what is the rogue unit. Why is it bad? What's the big fuss
the term
about?
rogue it came from the Skakani report. He called it rogue because it was rogue.
Aha, gangster.
Yeah, and they don't like that name.
Yes.
They call it something else, but when it was a rogue unit, they knew they did wrong things. They knew they did wrong things. I mean, Johan Lochenberg, I spoke to him many times.
What are
Johan Lochenberg? Let me give you a story about Johan Lochenberg, by the way. Johan Lochenberg, I don't know what I included in my book. Johan Lochenberg, when we suspended him, he called me. He said, Luther, I want to be out with these guys, referring to Ivan Pillay and Pete Richard, because there was a group of three. So the media will always use them as a group of three, you know, that are attacked by these black guys who are savages, who are destroying Sars, blah, blah. And he called me and he said, I want to be out of this thing. I said, Johan, are you sure? Because he's a tricky guy. I said, I'm telling you, I just want to settle this thing. If Tom can give me 12 months, I'm out of here. I said, no, 12 months, you're not going to get. Then we had a long discussion. So we agreed about 8 months. And I called Tom. Tom said, if we settle with this guy, it's just because we're not breathing. There was that place, there were media queries day after day. Spoke to Johan, 7 o'clock early in the morning. I've got pictures of Johan here holding hands with Tom and hugging each other when they were settling the deal. Johan came in the morning, we gave him 6 months' salary. The very same Johan, after getting 6 months' salary, he behaves again like a victim. Ivan Pillay was given probably 4 million rand settlement. Trying to settle this thing so that we move. But what did it change? Nothing. So because once you are declared a cheeky black, they're not going to leave you until they hang you there.
So how come nobody was arrested or held accountable? Because you're saying we don't know what bad things are. You're saying they did very bad things, and I'm assuming bad things are illegal.
No, they were arrested.
Oh, they were?
Yes, they were arrested. You're going to make me talk too much. A guy called Johan Duval and a guy called, I forgot the other one, Duval and the other one, I forgot, Lambert or somebody. They stopped Tom. We must ask a guy called Makoko. We must interview him. They called Makoko and Tom walking into an EXCO meeting. They wanted to confess. That's the part I didn't mention. The confessions were recorded. They confessed to the rock unit that they were playing this rock unit. There was something called Sunday Evening. Just Google the Sunday Evening. It will tell you what is that. Sunday Evening was a project they were running where they put recording into 12 NPA and police officers, recording them. They confessed. I was called by Tom and said, what do we do with them? We suspended them, and Tom advised them to go to the police and confess to the police. They went to the police, they confessed. They were attending to state witnesses. The three were arrested. Ivan Pillay, Johan Lochenberg, and this one were arrested. The case was thrown out when certain things happened. Yeah, but they were arrested.
What are certain things happening?
Why? Let me not go there. But no, it's public knowledge. Google it there. It'll tell you where they were.
Okay, so we must Google why these three men, the case got thrown out.
No, the important thing is not even the why, because there's no why, but the when.
The when is important.
When was it thrown out?
Because the thing is that, the more you speak, it just sounds like Tom Moya was not actually the head. It sounds like there's another head. There's an invisible hand that is
the story
protecting whiteness.
The story there was how do I put it? The truth is, things ran very perfectly under Tom, and perfectly within the circumstances. There's no one who ran that thing perfectly. Praveen during his time. By the way, he did a good job, Praveen. We must never take that away from him, because what Pravin did is when he took SARS, it was still Department of Finance and Inland, and he crushed it into a good machine. He put the laws, the systems in place.
Oh, okay.
Obama Khashula came and put the IT systems in place.
Okay.
So that is for me the journey. And Tom come and stabilize, because now you crash that, you put the IT systems in place, and somebody stabilize. You see? Yeah, the problem with him was that he didn't listen.
You didn't listen?
Yeah, including me, I didn't listen. I got warned so many times and I didn't listen. And that's what the Nigerian Commission was about me, because I didn't listen.
What commission?
The Nigerian Commission. Remember, I appeared there for hours and hours, for days. And I appeared there, which is on Twitter. I saw this lady, Noli, somebody.
Yes, Len Noli.
I'm sitting there, I'm explaining to Nugent the crimes of the Rock Unit. He stops me and he says, we can't talk about the problems of the Rock Unit because it's a sub judice matter with the police, because they are arrested, I think, at the time or something like that. How the report come? I didn't find any evidence against the Rock Unit. But you stopped me on a national television. But anyway. But we're here now. I'm excited that things happened the way they happened.
Yeah.
I went through the Nigerian Commission, and it was supposed to cut my head. It couldn't cut my head. And when Edward Kisbete came, think about it this way. I go through a judicial commission of inquiry. They put a list of charges. I was even charged for writing an article in 2016 saying, what is this thing that, what did they call it? The one that they'll downgrade you.
Oh, the ratings.
The ratings.
Yeah.
I wrote an article in 2016.
I'm a ratings.
I wrote an article in 2016 when the rating was very hectic. And I said, no, this is just a colonial gang.
Yes.
It's the language I used. It was it was a wrong language maybe. It's a colonial gang that are meant to whip us into life. And we must ignore them. The first person who attacked me was Pravin. The second one was the DA. And that was happened in 2016. 2019, when the Nugent, I was charged by a judicial of inquiry for writing that article. That's how far they went. But anyway, so I get charged by this judicial of inquiry, doesn't find anything against me, which is what they were fighting me when I got to the public doctor. And then Edward comes in after a year. He charges me now as an employee on the same charges that I was charged by Judicial Commission of Inquiry. Suspend me. All right, I take my suspension. After 2 days, he calls me with his lawyer, says, no, we want to settle. Oh, I thought you charged me for wrong things. No, we want to settle. And I read the political space and I said, no, I'm going. They gave me my 6 months salary and I left. But those were great moments for me, because after that, my life, I went from there to the Department of Communication, and then I went to the Public Protector. I'm now with the Department of Small Business. And not only that, I was able to write a book, one of the most powerful books ever written on earth.
Which is
so
the other drama is around when you were at the Public Protector's office.
When I was attacked and called names.
Yes.
Well, the only reason I was attacked, for instance, from SARS, I went to the Department of Communication.
Okay.
There was never noise. When I got a job there with the Public Protector, the same dogs of war came for me, led by the key dogs of war. And the only reason why I was attacked was that at that time, the report about whether the rogue unit existed and many other problems was still under processing. So I entered there as the chief of staff to the Public Protector, and then they panicked because they said, damn, this guy is going to feed them with the truth which we blocked through Nugent. So they panicked. That's why I was attacked. There was no reason why I was attacked. By the way, I lodged a complaint with the press ombudsman, and then they said they must apologize. They must not call me this name they used to call me. And when I wrote when I wrote my complaint to News 24, I told them, I gave them an anatomy of racism. I said, you see, during slavery, if you are a cheeky black, in other words, you question the master, they will call a meeting of all these people, put them there, hang you there so that the rest can see. Colonialism, they do the same thing. During colonialism, the Sankara, they kill them because they don't listen. Right? Today, they use the media to kill you, to finish you. I told the News 24 people, obviously they hated that letter. But I said to them, I know the reason why you're attacking me, you're perpetually attacking me, is because I've been declared as one of the cheeky blacks. That's the only reason you're attacking me. Otherwise, if I was compliant like the rest, you wouldn't attack me. So once they declare you as a cheeky black, it's the same model they used during slavery. They will hang you. You won't breathe. Right? And that's why you brought me in here. Now I'm saying all these things. One day, the day they hear these things, I'm telling you, you'll hear something about me there. But I've been very consistent. I've been very consistent. But the things I'm telling you, by the way, let me emphasize, and you must emphasize it in 90% of them are in the book that I write. But my book is not about the Rock Unit. It's not about Sars. The story that I write in my book is the story to get my book.
Yes.
Did you get a point?
Yes, of course.
To say these are the pains that I went through, which led me get into this beautiful journey.
Yes.
It's like the labor pains.
Yes.
So the story about my book about Sars is really about the labor pains. Maybe one day I'll write a real book about but yeah, this was just the labor pains to the baby that get born, which was my book. Please don't ask me anymore about politics.
No, I'm asking you about the book now.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, because we want to know, because you've been so traumatized by the system, you even got spiritual now.
Those people will make you look around.
Find God quick.
But they're very organized, you must respect them. But you see, and that is the problem. Rich people, in fact, they don't make money and buy media. When they start wanting to be powerful and rich, they buy media at the same time of growing because they know media, and I'm talking about advert. But politics is an advert. That's what they do. So they come with a system that makes black people feel so inferior and feel so useless, and because we're attracting our beliefs, we started to attract useless things, and then they use us as cheap labor and blah, 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 blah. So one of the things that black people fail to invest in, which they don't appreciate, is the power of media. The power to influence society. Our children become that which we make them to believe when they grow up. Not only do you start to believe yourself as this and that, the quantum scientists have discovered that you start to manifest the things that you believe in.
Yeah.
So our children join us in this vortex. You see, because we think media is a useless job. No, these people, when I used to be the chairperson of the ANC, I was a chairperson of the ANC and chairperson. I used to run this other branch. And I used to say in that meeting, you know the way the system runs. If I call comrades early in the morning, they can't tell me anything important. You call them after 10 o'clock, they'll start talking because at that time they've already bought Sunday Times. So we can't even think before and that's why we're waiting for this paper. Where is this paper? You keep sending the
waiting
children.
for the narrative.
Because your mind is kind of stuck. Somebody must set the narrative. And then they take the Sunday newspaper, then they run it during the week. And they set another, you see. And then if they do that with me or you or other people have no choice but to look at me the way these people are saying. You see. They
repeat the message.
Yes.
Until it becomes the truth.
Goebbels knows very well. He just repeat it. Because people are, whether it's in the Roman Empire, people's consciousness works the same way. You repeat a lie becomes a truth. To an extent that, these people can make you start even doubting whether you know what you're doing, the way you have been thinking, or what you're doing, the way they will, I've seen people that this thing is traumatized, big time, including me. No, that thing is traumatic. I was traumatized. I remember the day you go to this commission of inquiry. The first thing with that problem with that commission of inquiry is that Nugent didn't want me to go there. The men, and I knew, I was trained differently that if your enemy says don't go, I'm not saying he's an enemy. I go where my enemy says I must not go. So I insisted to go there. So they get 5 people. So I'm sitting there, the 5. Their job was to disrupt me that I must not speak. When you speak, they disrupt you. When you speak, they disrupt you. The whole day. That's what they did. And then I said, this is how this man is going to play it. Okay, I said to my lawyers, I'm going to write an affidavit. Because with an affidavit, he has no choice.
Yes.
Right? I write an affidavit, I put this. I write an affidavit, I give it to him, the report comes. No, I read Mr. Lebelo's affidavit, I don't agree with it. So I'm not going to publish it. No. Actually, he says, I read Mr. Lebelo's affidavit, he's still pushing this narrative of the rogue unit. So I don't agree with it. He says that in the report. I'm not Google Nugent report.
But now that it's been proved that the rogue unit did exist, then what?
People called me, hey, come and do an interview. I said, I don't want to get there.
But these people who said that they don't agree with you, judges, nothing happens to them, life goes on.
That's South Africa. South Africa, my sister, nothing happens.
So judges are a law unto themselves in South Africa.
No, they moved on. They get celebrated. They'll be called to give lectures everywhere. Nobody says, but this judge. No. But it's a traumatic experience.
It is.
But we need trauma to wake up. See, we need trauma to. I mean, for instance, black people. It's not easy to be black, but black people. When one of the biggest things that I became an enemy number one with Tom was that when Tom arrived at Sars, the exco of Sars was 6 or 7 white males, 1 female African, 1 Indian, blah, blah, blah. And then we put a system in place to transform that. At no time, you had 5 African males, 3 African female, 1 white. We moved the group executives. Group executives, there were 4 or 5 black women. We moved it to 23 women, black women. Right? We changed the whole system. And that is when they come with this thing that, no, we're destroying the skills of SARS. Because when you bring black people, you are destroying the skills of SARS because black people are inherently incompetent. That's psychology. And you get, this is in my book. I'm still on my book. And then you get there, then they say that. So they put it on me because I was the head of labor relations. I'm the one who was running this transform. I drafted that document, by the way, over the weekend. And this is how we're going to transform. But I can tell you, I remember black people will stop me. But actually, they were happy with your transformation. But hey, you're too harsh. No. People are traumatized. Generations and generations. They'll punish your children with the generation. Traumatized. When you do that, it's a very traumatic thing. I talk about it in my book. And I'm told that when we were suspended, black people at a party, they were happy that I've left. The very same guy who brought blackness. That's the trauma. I mean, I look at people and I don't know. I look at people like what was the guy, I forgot him, who ran ESCOM and went.
Brian.
The system will and I can tell you, majority of the people who the system is crashing, when you go deeper, they try to do something for black people.
Yep.
And they don't only get crushed by the master, they get crushed by the by the kitchen niggas as well.
I know.
Yeah, so it's a very traumatic. But for me, it was a very beautiful trauma. It was an important trauma for me. It was an important trauma because when I left there, people said, "This guy's career is done. You have touched Bob Pravin. They're going to destroy you." I said, "No, there's no mortal being who can destroy me. That I refuse. A man like me who has got fears and excitements, destroy me." And they tried. But you can't destroy me. The only time people destroy you is when you believe they can. Because the moment you start to believe people are going to destroy you, give away your power. See, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I'm still, when they were taking me at the public protector, Stephen Crotters. But you see, you also have to appreciate that at the nucleus of our media outlook is an apartheid training.
Yeah.
So they can't help it themselves. Do you get my point? They can't. They are trained like that. The way they've been trained to look at you as you appear as a black person, they can't help. They try, but they can't help it. You'll hear when you talk to them, they try. And my friend is black, and they try, but they can't help it because it's consciousness. That's where my book comes in. Because consciousness gets embedded into you. The way you are taught what a dog is and how you must react to a dog. When the dog walks in here, you don't have to think about it. You just react like that. So in their training, they're trained like that. They're trained to say cheeky blacks must be crushed. So the likes of Stephen Crotters. I mean, my first interview, by the way, was with John Robbie when I was told to come and help with the community. And we had a big fight with that guy, John Robbie. We had a huge fight. I got a call. I didn't know. I was not in the media. I was just asked to go and do an interview. I get a call from Stephen Crotters. And he called me and he said, this interview you had with John Robbie this morning was traumatic. I've never seen John so traumatized. He even left work early. My name is Stephen Crotters. I didn't know him. He said, yeah, my numbers. If I ever say anything that is wrong, please call me. Don't be angry. That's how I started to know the guy. But of course, later on, he was part of the guys who were used to defend the Rock Unit.
Completely.
Karen, today is out.
Yeah.
Today is out. Who's the lady? There is a lady.
Has it Karen? Karen Bon?
No.
Oh.
Polly van Wyk.
I was about, yes.
Yeah, Polly was given a task to destroy.
The agent,
he was working. Yeah. No, that man was given a task. That man, every day, I was answering media questions from her. Every day. Because they have to say, yeah, the plant in Sars was not given water, it dried. So there must be this continuous negativity. You can't tell good news in that space. And today you see, and it saddens me because our black people have got no choice. The system is so against them. And then you hear them there talking about how Moya and Mama destroyed. You ask them, what did they destroy? What did they destroy? When I was with Edward, before we started fighting, I said to Edward, I said this to Ivan Pilevan, I said to Edward, there's a trick you must manage. You know what is that trick? Is to think you are the Messiah here. And then you go to newspaper, you go to TVs and say, I'm fixing Moyanis. Don't do that. I told Ivan the same thing when Obama Khashilo was suspended and Ivan took over. I said, don't do that. Because you're going to get trapped into that. People don't care whether you want to fix somebody. They just want to see you doing things. And I hope he's doing well at Sars. People call me and talk about other things, but I'm not. I've moved on from there. But I hope he's doing well there. But I like him. I didn't work with him. I worked with him for 2 months, 3 months. I like him because he's very honest. In a sense, there is an honest and there is an honest. He's not a very tricky guy. I mean, he calls me when I was there, and he says to me, talks to me. He says, "Can I ask you a favor? Can you ask if you said a favor? Can you agree that I suspend you? Suspend me? Yeah, suspend you. Because for what?" He says, "No, because there is a bad negative thing with the media." And PG and Trevor that do not like you. Is that innocent? And I don't even think he remembers saying that. I think I said it in my email one day. I don't think he remembers saying that because it's very innocent. I think I said it in my book. It's very innocent. He's a guy like that. I mean, he told me, he said to me the second time, because I said to him, "Don't touch me. If you touch me, we'll meet in court." Then he left me. He called me again. And it was clear the man is under pressure. Then he says to me that, and I remember converting what he was trying to say to me in Sotho. I said, in Sotho, you say, "Khoma moshate wa itiba umalato." I don't know what you guys in Xhosa. The cattle of the chief. Whether you take them home, you are wrong because they'll say you're stealing them. You leave them in the bush, you don't take them home, you're going to be accused of leaving the cattle. So guys, in my language, they say, "Khoma moshate wa hapa umalato," So he said, yes. You're blaming me that I want to suspend you. You don't know the pressure I'm getting. From who? But he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And remember, a lot of good guys get trapped into this system. You see, a lot of good guys get trapped into this system. I mean, I remember when News 24 attacked me and called me names. That Sunday, City Press followed. And it was a black guy. See, from City Press. I took both of them to the ombudsman, and ombudsman said they must apologize. But, and I feel for black people. And I don't know that guy's name, but I remember when I saw he's a black guy, I just saw my poor brother.
They're so weak, the journalists.
But they put you in a corner. You see, my child today, if he was to get a job, he can get upset and resign because my house is there. He can come there, his room is still there and eat. But we don't have those privileges. So a child of a white child can take their children. If my children had children, they can even say, well, they can take their children to me because they know my father is, my children. But we don't have that option. So most of them are caught between bread and dignity.
Yeah.
And because an empty stomach is not a good teacher, there's no patriotism in an empty stomach, they choose the thing. And it's bad, it's sad. I mean, my life, you'll see in my book, from high school, has been fighting for black people. I got into trouble for fighting for black people. In SARS, if I didn't fight for black people, I'm sure I was going to be a deputy commissioner. I was seen as this upcoming star and this clever guy and blah, blah. And people will warn me, Luther, you've got a bright future. Fighting for people. My wife used to tell me, leave those things. Hey, but I'll hear her. The moment I see injustice, and now I'm in trouble again, I'm thinking, what?
I've been trying to avoid this.
So it's a complicated thing.
You've worked at the Public Protector's office. What's happening there? Because it's kind of lost credibility for some people. So can you give us some hope?
In the Public Protector, there are great people there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest hope. That there are great people, hardworking people, well-meaning people, great yours. Yeah, that place has got great people. And the good thing with the system, if it has great people like that, which is the same thing with SARS. My only hope with SARS is because I know it has great people. So when you've got great people form a system. So leaders, they can always beat leaders that are wrong. That's my hope. I don't know whether that's possible. But my belief is that if you've got a cadre of great people, the possibilities that they can block the leader from contaminating or speed the leader. But let's not talk about Public Protector.
No, but because I was asking because of the Pala thing. Because it kind of, there's the narrative of the president's protector. And, so is it safe space for the public?
Yeah, no, there are great people there. I don't want to get into that one.
Okay, fine. I'm going to take my L there.
It's my former employer. We worked very well with Advocate Mukweba. We worked very well with the new Public Protector when she was the deputy, when she was acting, give each other support, But these things are more complex than that.
Of course, that's what we're trying to get at.
I can only tell you how good they are. I mean, she was Advocate Koreka was a great person. We differed where we differed. We differ everywhere. Because when we differ, it means we love each other.
Yeah.
And people, when they don't differ with you, it means they don't love you.
So we're not going to get any scoops from the Public Protector.
No.
I see.
That's why I'm talking about it, because I wrote about it.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, okay, we got the Sars one at least.
Yeah. Maybe one day when I read my book, I'll talk about that.
So tomorrow, you're launching your book. Ganene, what's it called?
No, Consciousness of Being God. They should have delivered it. Yeah.
Consciousness. It's okay. But now we're telling the public how they're going to get the book.
Oh.
So is it going to be an exclusive books? And give us a quick, we know it's about, but basically what's it to you?
The book is now in exclusive books, all over Africa. You can get it at Amazon and blah, blah, blah. The book Consciousness of Being God is nothing else but... So I'm writing 3 series books. So the book's name is Consciousness of Being. The first book, which is the one I've just released,
is God.
It's Consciousness of Being God. The second one is going to be called Consciousness of Being the Desire. And the third one is going to be called Consciousness of Being Content. Right? This is the Trinity of life. Consciousness of Being God it's not a religious book. When my comrades saw, how they traumatized you.
Exactly.
Yes. No, it's not about that God. It's not about that one.
Yes.
It's about the real one.
Yes.
Yeah, the real one that has been identified by the quantum science. So my book is it's 3-section book. It talks about quantum science, what they discovered. He touches a little bit about the Hermetic philosophy, and then he talks about these great philosophers that ever existed, who wrote a book called the Bible, which has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with the man of the cloth. It has everything to do with quantum science, which says that this thing that you see as the universe is nothing else but mentative energy. Professor Max Planck got a Nobel Prize in 1909 after he discovered that the universe is made out of an energy with mind. He called it conscious and intelligent mind. So he says this thing we call the universe is a thought, because energy is a thought, but it's a thought with the mind. It's conscious, and it is this conscious thing that you call Moya, and I like that created everything in its own image. This is quantum science. It's science now. It's not theory. So my book goes deeper into that. If you read that, you'll be fascinated to learn that you're not sitting on a chair, that chair doesn't exist, this table doesn't exist, we're waving. Yeah. So that energy created everything else in its own image. And therefore it means everything else in this universe, including me and you, are not physical things. Our eyes are misleading us. We are consciousness. We are thoughts. And that's why you talk about spirit. Right? You talk about Moya. You are not a physical being. You're a spirit that is waving. It is just troubled because it has been wrongly conditioned to believe itself as a human being in a spirit, when it's supposed to understand that it's just a spirit.
In the body. Yes.
So because of that, it messes us up, all of us, right? So, and then I go and link it to, you must read the book. It will shock. It was shocking me as I'm writing and researching that everything else is thought, and this thought is a creative thought. Right? You know what is spirit? Spirit is thought. Yeah. So quantum science call it intelligent energy. So when you think, you transmit energy, right? That is what spirit is. It's the energy that you every time you think. You made me to think about Sars. You saw what happened. Probably, I don't know whether I showed it, but I got emotional because there is no past, present, and the future.
Yes.
Everything happens now. Time is an illusion, by the way. Everything happens now. That's why my greatest moment of my life was when I graduated, right? And it was greatest because, remember, I put myself through school, so it was like all the emotions were going on.
Oh, man.
But as I'm talking to you now, thinking about it, I remember the whole.
Yes, it's happening now.
That's how it happens. Yes, because three things happen to your mind. And you can think about it. It might be then when you gave your. Women normally will say, when I gave my first baby. If I take you there, you're gonna remember. You're gonna see the movie when it was happening, right? So when you trigger a thought, it triggers an imagination. You'll imagine the event. You have got no choice, and it triggers emotions, and triggers this thing, emotions and feelings. So these three things happen without your permission, and when they form together, they form what you call a belief. When a number of beliefs form together, they call a character. So when they saying, tell us about Ntsiki, then the people define you. They define your character. But your character is an amalgamation of the beliefs that you have accepted as true. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, and this is the painful thing, is that you then manifest, you attract and manifest those beliefs. They become part of your life. And that's why the story about setting the tone of what you must believe is so important, because not only does it define our own character, but it makes us to attract the things that we imagine. And that's why it says, let's create man in our own image, because you cannot create in any other way except through the image of the thing you want. Right? This is science, by the way. Einstein talked about. But then they discover something called quantum entanglement, which Einstein didn't understand. Quantum entanglement simply means the following: that before everything, there was a life in the size of a tennis ball. This life broke into pieces. They call it the Big Bang. Broke into pieces. 13.8 billion years ago. And when it broke into pieces, it became what we call life today. It was not the beginning of life. It was the beginning of a different life. Quantum entanglement then says, so Newton was wrong by thinking that the universe have got spaces. So quantum entanglement means those pieces never separated. They came, so they broke down, but they are connected by a field of energy. So everything is still one. That's the greatest law. The greatest law is that everything in the universe, you think you are seeing separation. You're not seeing separation. We're just one thing connected by this force that you can't explain. And that's why what you do to her, you do to you, I do to myself. In my book, I explain the relationship between us and the universe is the relationship between the Arctic Ocean and the iceberg. Because that's the relationship we have with the universe. My book, if it was here, the top page, I quote Rumi when he says, you are not a drop in an ocean, you're an ocean in the form of a drop. Yeah. We are God in the form of flesh. Right? That's why it says the mystery of godliness. God was manifested in flesh and he lives among us. It's not a story of religion. It's the story of quantum science. Because what we are is nothing else but God having dropped into the relative world to experience how is it to be human. So consciousness of being God is the awareness that you are this God that you have been told is up there. And the story I'm telling you is the story that the Bible is trying to explain to people, but it got hijacked by this thing called a religion, and people are very, very confused. And that's why the Bible, they are saying I don't like saying the Bible says because I sound like a pastor and I don't like it. I don't know how to put it. But the book says that when they say to you, where is God? Where is the kingdom of God? If they say it's there or it's there, don't believe them because the kingdom of God is within you. Now, logically, if the kingdom of God is within you, and we know now that God and Jesus are sitting there, it means God and Jesus are sitting within you. So if you want to find God and have him attend to your prayers, where should you go? By this way, this book was written by Africans in Egypt. Where do you go? You go within. So consciousness of being God in my book is the awareness of that godness. The only reason that you continue to be inadequate is because you are not conscious of this God. So you must rise. It's a frequency. The scientists call it a frequency. So you must rise your frequency to the frequency of God. Because in this frequency called God, in the frequency of God, there is no sickness. There is no incapability to create anything. And the reason why we're struggling to create is because our frequency is too low, right? We haven't risen. Yes. And one of the biggest problems we have, which were messed up by a guy called Newton and many others, was to think the world is made out of physical things with spaces in between. Because Newton used to say that I'm a physical thing, you're a physical thing, in between us there's a space. And he couldn't explain why when I was speaking, what carries my voice. Right? But today we know there's no space because that's why I call with a cell phone. Something carries a cell phone. We know that Bluetooth, something carries. So we know, but Newton didn't know at that time. So there is a what Michael Faraday called electronic magnetic fields. The electromagnetic fields that connects us. Not only do they connect us, we are those magnetic fields. Not only are we those magnetic fields, but those magnetic fields are the one that creates our own life. And that's why when the same book was asked, somebody asked the question to this very powerful guy, who is not a person, but a greater thought, because God is spirit, is a thought, but it's a greater one. So Tina, we're here. We must go there. Let's rise there. That's conscious of being God. So when we was asking which one is the greatest commandment, is that the greatest commandment is that our Lord, our God, the God is one. That's it. When Hermes, the greatest philosopher, was asked, which one is the greatest law? He said, no, the law of mentalism. All is mind, mind is all, the universe is mental. We are mental. He says, he said the universe is thought dancing with thought. That's
beautiful.
That's what we're busy with. Because the only thing in here is a thought. So it's logical that the only thing that is happening is thought.
Comrade, I wish we had more time.
Yeah, then it goes on.
I can see that now you're going in.
The other one was
the time goes so fast.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. So we've got to wrap it up now.
No problem.
But we're definitely coming to the book launch tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get to chat to you there also.
Tomorrow.
Yes, it's tomorrow because this is coming out. So we're definitely coming through. So thank you so much for coming through.
All right.
Moya writes, it's been another fantastic episode. We'll see you again next time.
Who are you when all you were has been diluted by lies and white lines cancelling out all that which has been written of your history? Why do you look at yourself as a mystery? Doesn't the sun shine because you open your eyes? Doesn't the moon stay situated within the same stars your DNA sparkles off? Your spirit knows that surely corner into e off. Buza umoya so you may return to being well off. Because spiritually you are rich, yet your ancestors cry because you are out of reach. But yours is to command all elements while God takes inspiration from the very mirror she looked at to become. Remember who you are and never finish just when they think that with you they are done.